Hey team, in this video I want to continue exploring the terminal, the command line. There are a few things that I feel could really be helpful in addition to all of the movements that we learned in a previous video where we would cd into stuff and use the find command and stuff like that. So just being able to explore a few more of these tools will set you up for at least knowing that they exist, at least knowing how powerful the command line can be, the terminal can be. Okay. The first one that I want to explore is echo. And what echo does is it outputs everything that you've typed. Okay. So if I type in here hello world, which is the very traditional, it's kind of the law that you have to do echo hello world. It will in fact echo hello world, right? If we wanted to, we could put that inside of quotes, just like this, and it does the exact same thing. There is a place where quotes become important. If you start getting more and more into this, you'll discover things like variables. We're not going to talk about variables today, but you would have to put those variables inside of quotes to kind of make it work, at least for stuff like this. Now, along with echo, we can do things like find the word count. Okay. And the word count is a tool called WC. Now, this isn't going to work. It's kind of going to say something. Maybe we go hello world like this and nothing. Okay. It's kind of breaking because I've missed something. So again, that Command C to exit out of it. But we can use this right after the echo command. Okay. So if I go back to my echo command, I can use something called a pipe. And that is the vertical line. Okay. It's that vertical line that, at least on my keyboard, it sits right above the return key. Okay. So it's a vertical line and a slash. In this case, you want the vertical line, which we call a pipe. And it does exactly that. It sends the output of this to the next command, which in this case is word count. Okay. If I hit that, now I get something very different. I actually get 3 sets of numbers. The first one being how many lines there are, the second being how many words, and the third being how many characters. And I can actually send different flags to this. So I can send -L for line or dash C for character, right? And even -W, I think, for word. Honestly, I usually only use the -L, so I had to think about that W for a second to make sure that I had the right one. Okay. Now, word count, that's great, but one of the tools that we're going to focus on today, and we're going to use it a lot, is grep. Okay. And grep is it's some kind of an acronym for Global Regular Expression Processor. That's probably not the right thing for that, but it does allow you to search inside of text. So in the last video, we used find to search for files. Now we're going to learn how to search inside of blocks of text. Okay. So same thing. We're going to use that echo again. And we're going to go hello world just to keep it nice and consistent and pipe it to grep. Now inside of grep, I can search for anything like world. And I think this one should be in quotes. Okay, I don't remember. We can test it really fast. Oh, it still works. How about that? Okay. But I usually put it in quotes because old dog, right? Old dog, new tricks. So there we go. It works exactly the same. Depending on how your system is set up, it might highlight the word, but you'll notice that it outputs the whole line. Okay. Any lines that it finds, it will output those lines. Okay. So it's not going to only show the word. We can do that, and you'll see how later on, but right here, it's just going to show the line that word exists on. Okay. We can prove that a little bit by going up, and inside of here, let's wrap this in quotes now just so that I am consistent. Okay. and we're going to go \n. Okay, the \n is a return. So we're creating a new line in here. Okay, if we were using a file, we wouldn't have to do this, but until we pull down the files, we're just going to stay here. We're going to go goodbye Pluto, okay, because Pluto is no longer a planet. Just like this, we hit this, and we only get one line, hello world, right? Which makes sense because world doesn't exist on the second line. So if I went back and say only search for the letter D, now I would get both, okay? Or if I only search for Pluto, I would just get that. Now, again, just like find, okay? If you search for lowercase Pluto, you're not going to find anything, okay? We need to add another flag, and that flag would be -I, okay? So -I makes it case insensitive, makes it so that it doesn't matter which case it is, and now we're going to find that, okay? So lots and lots of power here. We could keep going with this and playing around. As an example, we could go further and add a WC on here, and now we only get that one line, right? One line with 2 words, 14 characters, goodbye Pluto. Because if you remember, hello world had 12 characters, okay? So we're guaranteed that we're getting the right thing. Kind of boring to keep using echo, so we are going to get some data that we can play with. I have exactly that over in my CodePen. So this teaching shell text manipulation, that is a huge mouthful, but if you go here, so go to my repo, github.com/Dave-Cross, search in repositories, and search for teaching as an example. I have a few other things in here, but this first one is exactly what you want, text manipulation, okay? And this time, we don't have any scripts in here, but we do have some files and a README that you could follow through, okay? So we are currently going to go through these commands, and there's some others down below that we'll talk about. But right here, if you wanted to, again, you could download the zip, move it into place. I'm going to take the easier route because I already have Git set up, okay? So I'm going to go back to my terminal. We can clear it out and cd into, I had it in development, learning, okay? And then I'm going to use Git. If you've never used Git this way, really easy. We can just git clone this. Does require that Git is set up. It's not set up on every computer. So if this doesn't work for you, go download that zip file, move it into place. It'll be the exact same files. There's no difference, okay? So here we go. It's doing its thing, and now I can cd into that teaching shell text manipulation, right? And I'm ready to go, okay? I can ls the files. There's a file and a README, just like this, okay? Now, inside of here, we can open this into VS Code, okay? Some old junk, just like this. And we have some files, okay? They're hiding inside of that files folder. And you'll find that we have the full text of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which is helpfully provided by Project Gutenberg, right? It is in the open domain, so we can quickly do this. And just using it for some experimentation, okay? I'll also show you in a bit how you can download your own, okay? We have toppings. This is a list of pizza toppings. There are some duplicates in here, right? So ham, I forget which others, mozzarella, and I feel like there's another, but it's not really important, okay? We're going to be working with this file a little bit, along with bad toppings. I'm not sure how you feel about pineapple on pizza, but now you get to decide, okay? It's your own thing. List of countries. I'm not sure if it's every country, right? Countries change every single day. People have debates on what is a country, as an example, but this is the list that I found very quickly by searching online, and an expenses file that we might play with really quickly, okay? So we are going to start with this toppings file, but we aren't going to do it here. Okay, we're going to do it over here. So whereas before we echoed a file, echoed some text, now we are going to change that. Okay, we're going to use a command called cat. Cat is for concatenate, right? So it is joining files together. You could send several files into here. So I could send files.toppings and files.badtoppings, and it would output all of them. The bad toppings are right on the bottom. Okay, so it just smushes them together, right? Puts them all together. We don't want to do it this way. In fact, we just want the toppings, okay? Because we're going to do stuff. We're going to reduce the repeats, and then we're going to get rid of the bad toppings, okay? And we're going to build it up. So to show you where we're starting, we have that. Again, we can use that WC command, okay? You don't actually need a space in here. I just really like having the space. I feel that it's cleaner, okay? But you can see that I have a list, a list of 20 lines, okay? 24 words, there's some spaces in there. Characters we don't really care about here, but maybe you do, okay? So 20 lines, 20 toppings, and when we're done, it should be 15, okay? We should only have 15 toppings. So going here, we can start to look at stuff, okay? Now there is a command called unique. And you would think that unique would do the trick, but in fact it doesn't. It's exactly the same as before, 2024 172. And the reason for that is because unique expects things to be next to each other. So if it was ham sausage, then it would only output one ham. But because this ham is separate from this ham, it's not going to do the trick. Instead, we need to sort this file before we run unique. Okay, and we can absolutely do that. So back here, sort, add another pipe. Don't forget that pipe, and hit enter. And now all of a sudden things have changed, right? We got rid of 3 duplicates. There was mozzarella, there was ham, and I could spend time actually going through here and trying to remember, but it doesn't matter. Okay, feel free to do that in your own time. The important thing is that we did do that. Now, there is a catch here where the file order is now alphabetical. If that bothers you, you might have to do it a different way, right? But for me, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. In this case, we can move on. And the next part we need to look at is how to get rid of those bad toppings, right? We have 2. We have hot dog and we have pineapple, right? So for that, we're going to use grep, okay? And again, grep allows us to search in things. It's, let me, of course, you might not be able to see that. It looks like a Q when I hit the G because it's at the bottom of my screen here. So 2 seconds, let's clear this out and let's try one more time, okay? There's the G so that we can see it, okay? Greg, grep, there it is. Excellent, okay? Now, again, we can search for anything in here. So maybe we just look for all the different forms of pepper, green peppers, pepperoni, red pepper, okay? One is plural, one is not. Very interesting times. I didn't make the list, I just copied it, okay? If we wanted to search for multiple things, we would add on a -E, which is for expression, okay? So we can search for pepper and what else? Let's say hot, okay? Just like this, hot. And now we get 4 things, right? Because hot is in hot dog. So there's a hint right there, right? We can actually go and do this proper. Here's hot dog and pineapple. Spell it right. Excellent, okay? So we found the ones that we don't want. What we want to do is output all of the ones that we do want, okay? And in order to do that, right at the beginning, somewhere over here, we had a -V. Dash V is for invert, okay, or reverse the search. Give me everything that I'm not asking for over here, okay? YV, well, the I was taken, right? I already showed you how I is for case insensitivity. So they went with the V instead. And right here, I didn't need to go to the end, but now we have a list. And if we tack on that WC onto the end, we get 15 items, which is amazing. We are already there. Now, at this point, you're asking, how did I know? How did I know which flags to use? Okay. The first one, the easiest way that I would recommend to find information on any command, okay, is to go to your browser, open up a new tab, and type bash, and then type that command. As an example, cat, okay? So it's going to give you bash cat command in examples, right? Or something like this. You could also do that for grep, okay? So how to use the grep command in Linux, Unix. I'm on a Mac system, on an Apple computer, which is a Mac laptop. So it is very much Unix based, which means that I have access to most of that goodness, okay? I say most because some little things will change, but most of these basic commands should work out of the box, okay? So you can click in here and poke around at different things. It'll try to teach you. Hopefully there's not too many ads in there, right? Lots of good stuff. If you wanted to do it here, if you want to get really comfortable with being able to work from this system, okay, you want something called man. Man is short for manual, okay? And then from here, you can go grep, and it will bring up the list, okay? If you're ever in here and you're trying to find out how to get out, you just hit the Q button, okay? So grep, hit Q, it exits. Same with git log. When you start using git more, you hit the Q, you exit, okay? So man grep, just like this. And the space bar or the arrow keys, whichever you want, space will go down by a page. So you can kind of jump around and you'll see things like counts, and there's that dash E for expression, right? There's an exclude, extended regular expressions. We might see that in a bit. Dash F for file. We'll use that in a few seconds. Dash I for ignore case. There it is, case insensitive matching. And if we go all the way down, we will find dash V. So you can read through these and use these flags. If you go far enough in this file, they'll usually have a few examples, right? So right here, searching with, oh, my file. So we could, in fact, change this to be a little bit different. If we didn't need to sort it, right, we could change the pieces. So as an example, exiting with that Q, going back up to my command, which is right here. And instead of this, we're going to go files, toppings, okay? And then after that, we're going to add in the sort and the unique, okay? Unique, like this. That's weird. There we go. And delete everything before. So it might have actually been faster for me just to type this. But right here, we can send that file directly to grep and then sort it and then unique it, and we get the exact same thing, okay? Which shows the flexibility here, right? We had one where it was right here, same exact thing, same thing, where we could mix and match these parts, okay? Muscle memory has me doing cat and echo a lot on these, but you absolutely can do it this way. There's nothing wrong with that. How you snap these different commands together isn't the biggest part of this. The fact that you can snap these together, that's what's important, okay? I mean, sort and unique need to go in a specific order, but putting grep first or using cat instead, you absolutely can do it either way. There's no harm, and nothing's going to get in your way on doing that. Now, The last part that I want to talk about, if you remember with grep, okay, we had a -f for file. And this is a patterns file, okay? So this is not the file that we're testing. This is the regular expressions that we're going to use instead. So instead of these -e's right here, we can send in a file, okay? So same thing, we're going to go up, and we are going to back out these two expressions. Instead, we're going to send in -f, and we're going to find that bad toppings file, okay? And it's the exact same thing. So lots of flexibility here, and you can do it. The only warning that I would say with using man anything, right, is that it does have the word man in it. So when you're back over here, right, and hopefully you can see what's coming, but I can do man grep, okay, and it will give me the manual page for grep. But sometimes, wink wink, sometimes these return not safe for work results. As an example, there is a command called touch, okay? And touch will allow you to do some stuff to a file. Specifically, it'll allow you to change the timestamps on that file. You can also use it to create an empty file. Very handy stuff. But if you go searching in Google for man touch, your results will be interesting, okay? So my advice is when you're searching in Google or wherever you're going to search, don't use man, use the actual language. So here we have bash, right? Bash grep leads me to some examples of how to use it. Or I always start with the language, so JavaScript like this, and I might do reduce to search for the reduce method. I always start with the language, right? Don't go with man. Don't. Okay, it's going to be bad news. So start with the language. But here we are. Okay, so we have figured it out. Let's clear this one more time. I'm going to go up, and right here, I have my results. Okay, if I wanted to, I could get rid of that and get the actual list. And then if I wanted to, I could copy and paste this list or output it to a new file. Okay, not a problem. Let's go further. Okay, so I did mention that I have Alice in Wonderland, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, whichever you want to call it. Let's find out how many unique words are in the book. Okay, so again, cat files.alice right here. If you do this, one of two things is going to happen, okay? On very long output, it might start scrolling your screen depending on how you have this set up. For mine, it just kind of drops it in, but it is the whole text. So there's going to be a lot of scrolling in here, okay? Not so great. Be very careful with catting large files, okay? Instead, always try to send that to something else, okay? Just to keep things simple. So right here, I'm going to send that to, let's say, word count again, okay? And we get 3,756 lines, 29,564 words. And here's the problem with that. That's not unique, right? That's the actual word count of the book. So every time it hits a space, it starts a new word, okay? So the difference between Alice and Alice's, right, apostrophe S, those are two different words. We would like to find unique words, okay? So the first thing that we need to do is figure out how to create single lines. And we do that, again, with grep. So if we go back to our hello world example, okay, hello world, just like this, and we send it to grep. Now, I'm going to use extended regular expressions. And the reason for this is because it's less backspaces. You can go and do some research on that if you're really, truly interested in that. But using basic regular expressions, you have to escape things a lot more. Okay. And then I'm going to find the word. So let's go find A to Z capitalized. Okay, so that's a range of all capital letters, a range of all lowercase letters, and just for good measure, a range of all numbers. Okay, we close it off. The plus symbol tells us that it should be one or more of these characters. So no empty spaces, no nothing like that. If we do this, we're going to find all of Hello World. Okay. It's actually not finding the space. It's finding hello and it's finding world, and it's highlighting both of them. Okay. So this is kind of a good start. It's what we're looking for, but we wanted them on separate lines. We can do that with -O. Okay. And -O will represent every single found item on its own line. So if I do this, now I get two separate lines. Okay. And this is what we're going for here. So right here, I can back out the echo world, echo hello world, and again, go cat, or if I wanted to, I just could put it right in there, right? So cat files Alice, just to keep things nice and square. And I get a list of every single word, and this is quite long, so my mistake for doing that. Okay, I should have done word count on that. Okay, so 30,579, 30,579, exactly the same, because the words and the lines are now the same. We've broken it apart and made it so that we can do stuff. At this point, it's kind of the same thing as the pizza, right? So right here, before the word count, we are going to do a sort, okay? And then a unique to get rid of all those extra bits, right? And at this point, now we can do it. Now we see we have 3,407, okay? Which is pretty close. It's not entirely accurate. So if you're doing data science-y stuff, you do need a little bit of change, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second here. But I mean, good enough, I think. Okay, it's roughly 3,000 some odd words. That's what you're looking for as an estimate. Okay, so why is it not entirely accurate? Okay, well, if we take this and we go and find, let's say, the top 100 words, okay? So right now we need to figure out how to get the count on this, okay? And we can totally do that right here by going man unique, okay? And if we see the very first one is a count, so it will add a count before each unique word, and it will just tally it up, give you the numbers, which is excellent, okay? So right here, we're going to go -C to get that count. Now, if we do this, it's going to be twice as many words as there are lines. And that's because we get a number, space, word. Okay. So each one is represented as its own thing. And then from there, we can sort it again, because now we need to sort it according to the numbers, right? It's now a numeric sort. So we're going to do that. But this isn't quite right, because if I actually go and do that right here, I can use another command called head. Okay. And head will give me the top port of a file. Okay. -10, just as an example. Okay. And you'll see that all the values are 1 because it's sorted from smallest to largest. So right here, again, if we wanted to, we could go and do a man sort to find out the right command, but it is -R for reverse. And you only do that on the second one, because doing it on the first doesn't really do anything, okay? So right here, and we get the being the most popular word in Alice in Wonderland, along with in being the 10th most popular word. We did want more, so let's go and get 100. And now we get a whole bunch of different numbers, okay? Including Alice at 401. Now, again, there's a problem here, okay? Alice is not 401. I'm going to tell you right now that Alice is 403. And I can prove that by, again, catting that file, Alice right here, sending it to grep. I'm going to do a regular expression. Sometimes you can join these together, so just like this. -O, I don't know if you can join that one, but right here, Alice, lowercase, okay? If I do this, whoops, let's go word count, whoops, don't forget the pipe. It's got to be the pipe, okay? Word count -L just for the lines, and we get 403, okay? So let's go see what's happening. Right here, we can go sort, got to get that pipe in, sort, and unique again, type it right. Excellent, okay? Now there's only 2, back it out so that we can actually see what we got. And 1 is capitalizing. So somewhere in there, 401, 403, 2 instances, in 2 instances in the book, somebody is yelling the word Alice, okay? That's what the all caps represents. Somebody's yelling her name. So we can quickly figure that out, which is just to show you that this isn't quite data science-y stuff. It's getting as close as you can without spending like hours and hours doing it, okay? So what else can we do with this? Well, we can grab that file, or we can grab a different file, say files countries, right? And inside of there, we can get the word count, just the lines, because that's all we really care about. In this file, I have 195 countries. Yours might be different. That's okay, okay? If you're using this file, it will be 195. But if you go and pull a different file, it'll be something different, okay? Again, grep, and inside of there, we can go $, okay? And that right there. $, is, the dollar sign is regular expression speak for end of the line, okay? So this very end of the sentence, that's what that $, is, okay? And we're looking for any A that is followed by the end of the line. So we can quickly find that, and it is 70, right? So 70 of them. If we wanted to reverse it, again, we could use -V for invert to find that there are 125 countries that don't end in A, okay? We could go further and find out which ones are Canadian, okay? Or sorry, which not Canadian, which ones have the word Canada. I did it again. See, that was twice on my part. Sorry, my bad. Which ones have the word can in them, okay? Which is all of these, okay? So these are all of the countries that have the word can in them. You could go even further. So things like Stan will give you the 7 countries that end in Stan. Apparently there's no countries that have Stan inside of them, right? Or even all the ones that have land in their name. So some end with land, some is plural. Pretty consistent there, okay? So grep gives you a lot of power. And the final thing that I want to end with is a quick review. If we go back here, we've spent a lot of time just on a handful of commands that give us a lot of power, okay? We've looked at echo, we've looked at cat. These are ways of getting information in and out of the file system, okay? We might use echo to join up a bunch of variables, stuff like that, or do something really special with a string of text. And then cat allows us access to different files in the system. So there's that, but please be careful because it can be very long. Sort and unique, word count, very useful, okay? And grep. If you take nothing else from today's video, grep is the one thing that you want to walk away from, because with the last video, the focus on find, and this video, the focus on grep, now you have ways of finding files, and you could take those results and send them to grep to actually search inside of the files, right? Lots of cool stuff there. If you scroll down here, you're going to find all of these examples that we've worked through, as well as some other examples. So as an example, TR, right? TR is for transform. So let's say I have an example where I want to take Terrence Hightop, which is apparently if you watch the movies, Terrence Hightop is the Mad Hatter's real name. I didn't know that until I watched that. But we can change his name. Okay, we can actually send it through a what's called a Caesar cipher. In this case, it's the ROT13 cipher, which says that each letter is the 13th letter away, right? So N is A, right? And so on, etc. We could actually simplify this. So we could take that and change it to a bit of a regular expression, just like this. All these examples are in the file. And apparently I forgot this. There we go. Very weird. Let's try it one more time. What is going on? Oh, because see, doing silliness. Here we go. Let's get rid of this. And there it is. Okay. So now I'm able to transform the capital letters as well. Capital letters, lowercase letters, kind of like we did with the grep regular expression, where we were setting up a range of letters. Okay. And then if you're on a Mac, you can actually do some really cool stuff here. So maybe, just maybe, you are setting up like a movie review and you want to type it out, but you don't want to do any spoilers. So you could send this through like this. Let's go over here. Where is my text editor, right? So type some stuff in, right? You're doing some stuff. There's some spaces. There's some spoilers, all kinds of stuff. Just button mashing like crazy, okay? And then instead of all of this, we're going to take that, back out the echo, and we're going to use something called PB paste, which is short for pasteboard paste, okay? Spell it right, go to the end, and then we're going to pasteboard copy, which is exactly that. It's going to copy it back, okay? So it's going to take whatever is in my clipboard, which was that random text, send it through our little ROT13 cipher, and put it back on the clipboard. So now if I go back to here, drop down to a new line and paste it in, you'll see that all the letters are off by 13, okay? So really handy if you're doing movie reviews and you don't want to spoil things, okay? You could also go so far as to do an expense report. So inside of our expense report is some fun stuff if we go and find it, right? It is comma separated values. The second column is numbers. So let's say we had like hundreds of these and we wanted to tally it up. We wanted to get a sum, okay? Well, we absolutely can do that by sending the expenses report through a system called cut, which takes just that field, right? It separates on commas and takes just the second field, and then it puts them together with a plus sign and sends it through the basic calculator, which gives us a total, okay? And you can always back this out and see what that output looks like. It's pretty cool stuff, okay? And then, of course, things like curl. Curl is how I downloaded the Alice in Wonderland book, right? So right here, I have that curl command. Kicking it out. Curl is a little bit scary, but not so much, okay? You're able to download stuff, send stuff up. Very handy things to know. So there's just a little bit of extra reading in there, but this is the key right at the top, okay? This one here. Where is it hiding? There it is, grep, okay? Again, with the previous video being find, this video being in mostly about grep, These tools will set you up for success in the terminal. Okay. Give them a try. Let me know what you think of all this. What hangups you found, what roadblocks you found, and that way hopefully I can make these videos better later on. Also, let me know how you succeeded, right? I would love to hear that too. So almost forgot to mention that. But until next time, see you.